pantry. Today I'm going to show you how to make a beautiful raspberry and rose Victoria sponge, which looks like this. It looks beautiful, it's so easy. Let's get started. Okay, we're going to start with some jam. So this is a raspberry and rose jam. All you need for this is some raspberries, about a punnet full of raspberries, a lemon, some caster sugar and some rose water. I know a lot of people think jams are really tricky, you need to have a sugar thermometer. This jam is super simple. So first thing I'm going to do is take my raspberries and pop them in a pan on quite a low heat. Squeeze in a little bit of lemon juice. Now the lemon juice is what makes it set. So it's the pectin in the lemons that actually makes the jam set. And pop over a little bit of caster sugar. Give that a stir. And then I'm going to put in some rose water. Now depending on how rosy you like it will depend entirely on how much rose water you want to put in. I wouldn't say to use too much because it can end up tasting a little bit like grandma's knickers, which we definitely don't want. So at the moment it smells lovely, like that kind of Turkish delight smell. So all you need to do is just let these bubble down. They'll start breaking down and then they'll turn sort of jammy, and we take it off the heat and let it set, and that makes your jam for the centre of your cake. You can use frozen berries if you want to, but I would recommend thawing them first, otherwise there'll be a little bit too much liquid going into the pan. You may also need to use a bit of jam sugar or a bit more lemon juice to set the jam, so if there's too much liquid you're going to find it's not going to set the same way. So with your spoon you can just start breaking down your raspberries. And if you like it sweeter, do add more sugar. If you like it a bit more tart, obviously add a bit more lemon juice. Make sure you keep an eye on this, don't walk off and leave it because the sugars can caramelise and you can burn it. Once everything's all completely broken down and it looks like jam, it's ready. Take it off the heat, pour it into a bowl, set it aside, leave it to cool, and then that's going to go in the middle of the cake. Okay, so now we're going to make the cake. In my KitchenAid bowl I have got 225 grams of soft unsalted butter and 225 grams of caster sugar. You can use normal caster sugar or golden caster sugar, whichever you prefer. So what I'm going to do with that is I'm just going to blend those together, cream them together until they are light and fluffy and they're kind of almost white in colour. You may find you need to periodically scrape down your bowl just to prevent the butter and sugar coming up the sides. You can do this in a normal bowl with an electric hand whisk. You don't have to use one of these. I just love using this, I find it very comforting. So I'm just going to scrape down my bowl if I can. Okay. Spatch. Carry on creaming. For a little bit longer than you think you need to, purely because you want the butter and the sugar to completely combine, no grainy bits left. So if you take a little piece and rub it in between your fingers, if you can still feel grains of sugar, it's not quite ready yet, so you want to just keep mixing. Okay, my butter and sugar are now completely combined. At this point I'm going to pop in some rose water. This is in fact a raspberry and rose cake, so we want to put some rose water in there just to bring everything together. If you don't want to make a rose scented cake, use vanilla extract at this point, about a teaspoonful, and that will then give you just a plain vanilla sponge which you can then jazz up as you wish. I'm going to pop my rose water in, probably about 1/4 teaspoon, not too much, we don't want it to be really overpowering. I'm going to pop that in. Give that a quick mix. Next up we're going to add in our other wet ingredients and our dry ingredients. So I've got 4 eggs, And I've also got 200 grams of self-raising flour, which is gluten-free self-raising flour. It's just a gluten-free blend, nothing fancy. You can get it from all the supermarkets. And also 25 grams of corn flour. Now, corn flour just lightens everything up, gives it a really, really good texture. So I'm going to put in the eggs, and I'll do those one at a time with a spoonful of our flour mix in between each. Great tip with eggs, just in case you're a bit like me and a little bit clumsy and drop eggs in the mixer quite a lot. Crack it into a bowl first, that way you're going to avoid any shell in your mix, and if the eggs are off, which you'll know the second you crack them because they stink, you're not going to ruin your cake batter as you started. Okay, now I'm going to add a spoonful of my flour and corn flour mix. And let that combine. Another egg. Another spoonful of flour. At this point, I'm going to treat myself to a little bit of a scrape down. I just want to make sure that everything is fully combined. Last egg. Now bit by bit I'm just going to add in the last of the flour. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to scrape down my bowl just to make sure everything's all together. If your mixture is a little bit too thick, you can add a splash of milk at this point just to loosen it up. You just need to make sure that the milk is at room temperature and not too cold, because that will then almost scare your mixture and it won't rise properly in the oven. My oven is currently preheating at about 180, 160 fan, which is gas mark 4, so not too high. And then we're going to pop the cakes in the oven for about 25 minutes until they're cooked through. Your cake tester comes out clean. You'll find that they're probably pulling away from the edges as well, means they're done. So the cake tins I'm using are 20 centimetre high-sided cake tins. I've greased and lined them. It's really important to use the high-sided pans, especially if you're using a fan oven, because this way everything's going to stay upright and you're going to have a nice round cake rather than one that's kind of going off on a wonk. So this is exactly the right consistency that I want. So what I'm going to do is going to divide that equally between my two tins and then pop them in the oven to bake. There are our cakes ready. I'm going to pop them in the oven. Okay, so your cake should now be cooked and cooled, and now you can do the fun part, which is the assembly. So I've got one of my cakes on a cake board. What I've done is I've actually turned it upside down, so the top then becomes the bottom. Confusing, I know. And then when you put the next one on top, the bottom stays the bottom, so you get a really nice shape to your cake. So I've got the one of the layers on a cake board here. Obviously you can put it on any kind of serving plate you want. I'm popping one on a board. This is the jam that we made earlier. As you can see, it's gone really nice and jammy and set. In the meantime as well, while the cakes were cooling, I've just whipped up some cream. I did that by hand. Again, you can do that with an electric hand whisk, or you can do it in KitchenAid. So I'm just going to take my jam and I'm going to pop that onto my waiting cake. Smells delicious. You can smell the rose water just seeping through. So pretty. I don't spread the jam all the way to the edges The reason why I don't do that is because when you put the top on and you press it down, it will actually drag it towards the edges for you. So if you put it too close to the edges, it will all fall over the side, and you're going to spend a lot of time clearing up, which is not ideal. So I'm going to take some of my cream, just softly whipped, pop that in there. And you want enough for the middle and a little bit from the top. Okay, so now we're going to take our other half, put that on, and you'll see as I press down, the jam and the cream start working their way to the edges of the cake. Okay, so I'm going to pop a little bit more cream on the top of the cake. So I'm going to tumble on some raspberries. You can place them neatly if you wish, or you can just put them on as haphazardly as you like. Okay, next up I'm going to use some crystallized rose petals. I've made these myself. There is a tutorial for this on pinuppantry.com, but I will do a video tutorial for you in the future. And if there are any particular tutorials that you want to see, do mention it in the comments below, and I'll see what I can do. And the final thing I'm going to add here, obviously it's a raspberry and rose cake, so we've got the roses, we've got some raspberries, and here's a little bit more raspberries. This is raspberry powder, and just to be extra fancy I've got some glitter spray, which I am just going to spray across the top of the cake. And there you have it, a beautiful raspberry and rose gluten-free Victoria sponge. Thanks for watching, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you soon. Bye!